about to get into all of the details about duality and K-pop, but I have a question for you. Do you think you have duality?
Me? No. Hi, welcome to the Luna Pod, where we talk all things K-pop. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Brickell. This episode, we are going to be talking all about duality in K-pop. I'm sure you've heard of it before, but what is duality?
Basically, it's just a contrast in personality depending on different situations.
This is not uncommon. You may wonder why we freak out about duality, because everyone has different sides of their personality, but idols' duality is intense. I'm talking about personas that are drastically different.
Like different level.
Yeah, shocking even to see. I feel like ATEEZ is a great example for this, but we'll talk about that more in a second. Western celebrities do not have as drastic of duality that we see in K-pop. Who they are on stage or in their music tends to reflect who they are and how they act very distinctly. I'm not saying that idols pretend to be someone they aren't most of the time. It's all a reflection of who they are, as their music often is. It's just an impressive display of how well they understand personas and emotions, and how well that they can portray this in their different concepts, music, interviews, etc. It truly shows how dedicated and professional they can be. They're not stuck in this bubble or specific type of content that they can create.
Well, I honestly kind of find that interesting that you made the point with like American artists, because K-pop idols, you feel very connected to them, have a closeness there, even though, you know, they're having this duality with their personas, while American artists,
they're stuck in that celebrity status.
They're very much themselves, it feels like. There's no like big persona there, but they're so out of touch. Like, it's so like out of reach. You were not going to have any kind of relationship there.
Yeah, it's true.
It's interesting.
Duality is also so attractive. Like I kind of said before, it's a skill. It's being able to show different sides of yourself and provide a completely different persona when needed.
And you'll see duality absolutely everywhere in Korean entertainment, even actors, but it's very noticeable in K-pop, especially during comeback concepts. They'll change their persona and they show different sides of themselves during these comebacks, so they'll just that duality goes a little further each comeback.
Let's take a quick second and talk about the difference between persona and personality.
So personality is obviously 100% themselves, whereas a persona is kind of just like an extended, exaggerated part of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. You can almost pinpoint, quote, what is their duality specifically, and it can range from many different types of duality.
I feel like the most common and like easy to spot is their stage presence with a persona, and then their everyday normal personality. Someone who's a great example of this is Taehyung from NCT. He is very intense and extreme on stage. In person, he's like the tiniest, most adorable little boy who does live streams.
Yeah, that's very true. You also have a duality that is professional to silly. I feel like Jin from BTS is a great example of this one, because he can be very professional when talking about his group or when it comes to business matters, but he is also really funny and fun when he doesn't need to be professional.
Another big split in duality is going from being cute to sexy. I feel like Honey from Monsta X and Changbin from Stray Kids are perfect examples of this. They are very similar in general, but they go from doing like cutesy, aegyo. I think they're kind of, honestly, at least in my head, maybe I'm just like biased here, but they're like some of the most talked about people when you talk about aegyo. They eat it up, they love it. Like, they're constantly doing it, but then on stage they are these just mind-blowing rappers.
Insanely
and you
intense.
would never think that it's the same person.
I remember there's a video recently of Changbin talking to a child. It's an interview, and they were like, sing for me or something like that. And Changbin like clears
Yes.
his throat and then goes, because he's talking so sweet to the kid the whole time, and then kind of clears his throat and goes into the most intense rap, and the kid is just kind of staring and is like, your voice changed. We also have going from silly to fierce, which I feel like an example here could be Sun from ATEEZ. I feel like ATEEZ is a great example for duality in general.
And then we have what we call Maknaes on top. Basically, they're just the youngest members in the group, so you would expect them to be just like very cute, young, innocent. No, they're not. Like, on stage, they're completely different. They have that persona that just like elevates them, matures them so much, and they completely change. So perfect examples are Jongin or IN from Stray Kids. Taemin from SHINee, Jungkook from BTS, and Hwasa from Mamamoo. Like, if you hear those names, half the time you wouldn't even think they're a maknae.
Literally so accurate. They are perfect examples for maknaes on top. Those are just some examples of different ways you can pinpoint duality. Something for me personally that when I hear duality, I think of is the way that idols can break barriers between femininity and masculinity.
And I think a group that embodies all of it perfectly is Triple H.
Yes, they are no longer active, but first of all, it's a co-ed group, which
Yes.
already is breaking masculine and feminine barriers in general. But look at who is in Triple H. We have Dawn, Hyuna, and Hui. These idols individually break these barriers too. I really need to talk about this. So we watched Triple H a while ago because we discovered that they exist and we loved Hyuna and Dawn at the time. So I was really focused on them when we were watching their music videos.
Were.
I realized there was a third person and I was like, oh yeah, cool. But I didn't really think further into that, which shame on me looking back. But then we watched Boys Planet, and if you haven't heard that episode yet, definitely go check it out. But we discovered Hui. And when I tell you, I was in the biggest state of shock in my life when I discovered that Hui from Pentagon, Lee Ho-taek, is the Hui from Triple H. Are you kidding me? That man embodies breaking masculine and feminine stereotypes. Look at the Boys Planet stages.
And I think the group itself, their dynamic kind of just has duality, because you kind of saw like Hyuna being like the more feminine side, and then in that dynamic through their stuff as a group, Hui was that more masculine side, and then Dom was like the perfect blend.
Agreed. Another way that idols tend to break this masculine and feminine stereotype is wearing makeup. I would say every idol wears makeup.
And sometimes like along with just makeup, they'll kind of accessorize along with that. They'll put like little gems under their eyes or add extra glitter. And a group that like constantly does this is ONEUS. They always have like little gems under their eyes.
It's so pretty.
And even like on tour, and I'm like, next time they come around, I want to do it so bad. It's
we
so
totally
cute.
will. Yeah. I actually have an interesting story with this. I was visiting home and I was showing my family members a picture of Songhwa because I am absolutely in love with Songhwa, and I'm like, look at how attractive he is. And he like, because he had posted something on Twitter, and I was like, ooh, look. And this family member goes, yeah, he's attractive, but what does he look like without makeup? I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back at it, that definitely adds to the fact that Korean idols are breaking this stereotype, because we'll talk about this more in our World of K-pop episode. This is a cultural thing. It tends to bring normalization of femininity in men to the West in general. But again, we'll get more into that in another episode.
Along with looks comes different hairstyles. And so we've seen a lot of male idols who have long hair, whether it's their own natural hair they grew out or other extensions. So like really great examples are Junghan from 17, Hanse from Victon, and Taemin from SHINee. And then on the flip side are girls who've had really short haircuts. So Chaeyoung and Jungyeon from Twice, Amber from FX, and Wendy from Red Velvet. They've all like chop their hair off and it's so stinking cute. Some of them have been like a super short cut with like undercut or like pixie or like slightly longer, but I love it so much.
And that does play into the fact that we tend to see a lot of tomboy style with our girl groups in K-pop.
And someone that always has that tomboy style is Moonbyul from Mamamoo. I absolutely love her. I love more of a tomboy style for myself. And so I want to be her. I look up to her style. I love it. And on the flip side, from girls in this tomboy style and like wearing suits, we have guys wearing skirts.
And feminine clothing in general.
Like blouses.
Hongjung from ATEEZ actually has straight up said he wants to create a clothing line that anyone can wear, regardless of gender, size, anything like that, and that he loves wearing feminine clothing.
And we also see feminine styles on other artists such as RM, Connie, TXT, and so many more.
Again, this is kind of a cultural thing that we'll talk about more in an upcoming episode, but South Korea has been wearing hanbok for years. So I feel like it's more normal for them to be wearing skirts, but for us in America, this is definitely breaking that feminine masculine stereotype.
A style choice that we love to see from our K-pop boys are crop tops.
When I'm telling you, this was the most mind-blowing thing to me when I discovered K-pop, because I was like in fandoms before K-pop, right? And there was always people who had made fan art, or we would talk about, or like fan fiction of like, this boy in a crop top. It was always just a dream. It was always just an idea. And then all of a sudden K-pop comes around and they actually wore crop tops.
Constantly too.
Bang Chan, prime example. Always in a crop.
A crop top king. He owns crop tops.
I would be shocked if he wasn't wearing a crop top.
No, I know. We literally just watched a music video the other night and I was like, oh, there he is in a crop top again. That boy, if you're trying to figure them out, he's the one in the crop top with an armband.
Yep, that's Bang Chan.
That's all you need to know.
Only One Of is also very commonly seen in crop tops. Or Kai from EXO or Wano.
And again, like, it sounds like such a feminine thing, like, oh, this, like, tiny little top. I'm sorry, there is nothing feminine about Wano's body.
No. You get to see...
You get to see their muscles.
Exactly. And there is nothing sexier than alluding to something, and you just see a little bit of those abs, and amazing. Again.
And sometimes they'll even accessorize, like, their waist with a little, like, chain.
Or jewelry, yeah.
Yes, it's so pretty. Like, I love the mix of it, them being so hot and just being so fit, and this little crop top. And, like, I had seen this kind of thing before, like, with Harry Styles or, like, Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street, but, like, it's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's so
like,
attractive.
People, again, like, why are people complaining about guys wearing this? People were eating Johnny Depp up in that.
Exactly. We'll get more into this later before we get into too much of a tangent.
Yeah, sorry. Into the story, we love crop tops here in this household.
We also love a corset or a harness, which we also see in K-pop quite a bit. You can see this in BTS's Fake Love, ATEEZ's Deja Vu, and in a lot of different Monsta X music videos.
Again, I feel like it's just like this subtle elusiveness.
Like, you know that whole joke with I feel like I'm from the old times seeing a girl's ankles for the first time? It's a fact.
It's literally like that with K-pop. We freak out over like the tiniest little sliver of waist. We freak out over a collarbone. Anything.
It's hot.
And outside of style, we have choreography. Sometimes you'll think, oh, okay, well, they'll dance differently. Like, the guys will dance more masculine, the girls will dance more feminine. There's a bunch of crossover with that, especially you can see that with the group Card. They are a co-ed group, 2 boys, 2 girls, and they dance both masculine and feminine. There are dance moves. The guys are dancing in a more feminine way, and then the next second, the girls will dance in a more masculine way. It's a great mix, and it doesn't look weird. It looks amazing. It's just a beautiful blend.
You also see this mix over without co-ed groups too, which we'll talk about more in just a second. We will also mention that ONEUS in their music video for Luna uses a lot of flower aesthetic in general, which can be stereotypically feminine, but they also use large fans in their dancing, which also tends to be very feminine. It's an absolutely stunning music video, one of our absolute favorites, literally the name of this podcast. If you want to hear more about that, check out our previous episodes. But it's so, so beautiful the way that they mix the masculine and feminine in that music video and song. We hope you are learning all about idol duality, but we're going to take a quick break. If you are enjoying this episode, definitely make sure to check out our other content and follow us at the LunaPod anywhere that you're listening on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and make sure to give us a rating. We would really, really appreciate it. Let's talk about some perfect examples of duality in K-pop.
Kind of from different examples of duality that we mentioned previously, you can see in EXO's Obsession, Sehun has this like scar makeup, which is like a very masculine thing. He's been fighting, but it's done with red glitter.
That's
so a very
amazing.
like feminine thing, so it's really pretty. And then like Kai's in a complete, like the shortest crop top I have ever seen in my entire life, right underneath his pecs.
He's in that tiny crop top, but he's dancing so hard and so masculine.
And one of our favorite examples of like duality choreo-wise comes from Deja Vu ATEEZ.
You will probably hear us say this a million times throughout this podcast, but the specific choreo in Deja Vu where ATEEZ puts their arms above their head and swivels their hips, it's very feminine, and then they push their hands down and thrust, very masculine. It is a perfect example of feminine and masculine choreography that we see in K-pop, and it is so attractive.
Another good music video example is Hanse from Victon, his solo works Takeover. So just in general, he has a very grunge, like emo aesthetic with some like femme touches of like an eyeliner, has his nails done and jewelry. But overall, I would say his like aura, persona is very masculine.
Yeah, I agree.
And then during his comeback, like with Takeover and that entire album, it's like the complete opposite. He has very long hair, he's like in skirts, and he has drag queens even come on to his music video and like perform with him.
That is the definition of breaking masculine and feminine stereotypes. Earlier when we mentioned Card's choreo, Ring the Alarm is a great music video to see the duality in.
So in BTS music video Idol, they kind of reference a lot of different things like they have gotten hate on throughout the years, but during Jimin's part, he's seen like dancing with a fan just kind of in a more feminine way because he's often hated on for his feminine looks and the way he dances and the way he just presents himself. So that was just a big part of the music video. But when they performed this at Mama 2018, when they performed like the intro of the song, he performed Buchechum, which is a traditional Korean fan dance that is predominantly performed by women.
Some other idols that are perfect examples of this duality are Hyunjin and Felix from Stray Kids and also Songhwa from ATEEZ. They all have more feminine features and feminine aura, but they also contrast with their style, stage presence, personality, their voice. I mean, Felix.
Especially Felix.
There's definitely a big scale when it comes to duality. We kind of have a joke with this. We went to North Carolina to see TXT a little bit ago, and we decided to go to a Thai restaurant. I absolutely love Thai food. It is my favorite.
First of all, unrelated, but kind of related. The sampler, amazing.
Oh my gosh, their food was incredible.
It was really nice to try a bunch of different stuff at once.
This restaurant was stunning. From the food, the presentation, and the environment, it was so authentically Thai. It was amazing. And my absolute favorite food is Thai curry. And so, of course, if we're at the super authentic, really cool restaurant, I'm going to get Thai curry. And I'm like, I can handle a little bit of heat, you know? But I usually go more mild because I understand that curry can be exceptionally spicy. And I get this curry, they bring it out, it's stunning. That was the hottest curry I have ever had in my life. And I got the mild. I didn't even dare go above mild because they had 3 options. They had mild, hot, and Thai hot.
And that scared us because I tried your curry, was very hot. And so I'm like, how hot is Thai hot?
Because hot by itself was probably insane.
Yes. And so that's where our joke comes in, because we're like, Thai hot, we're like, and so instantly we think of 10 from Wavy.
And so it was just perfect. 10 is our Thai hot. So we have this scale that we talk about, and we're like, oh, are they on this side or are they Thai hot?
So if you hear us mentioning Thai hot, that's where this comes from.
Let's talk about why duality is so attractive. It is basically what women want.
These idols are walking green flags.
We want soft boys who are in touch with their emotions. They're not afraid to express themselves in different ways and are against toxic masculinity.
And me personally, whenever I was going over all this, I'm like, why would I want to marry someone who doesn't know how to express their emotions? And why would I want someone like that to be the father of my children? No thanks.
Basically what we are saying is it's okay for men to show that side of themselves and be in touch with their emotions, because that is a green flag to a woman. Just like it's also okay for girls to be tomboys, play basketball, dress boyish, and yet the world scrutinizes boys for dressing feminine in any way or dancing femininely.
And I feel like there's just such this weird double standard between like what people like are wanting from these K-pop idols and like everything they're scrutinizing them for. Yet if, like for example, with like guys with long hair, but then if you have this burly man with big muscles and long hair, they love it.
Like Jason Momoa
like
or
Chris Hemsworth, like as Thor, like stuff like that. Like people love that. You don't even question them having long hair. It's hot. But then a K-pop idol has long hair and you're like, oh my gosh, is that a girl? Like, shut up.
No, it's true. They get bashed on so badly for the same things that you are finding attractive. I don't understand.
Like, for example, Johnny Depp. Like, I grew up watching his movies. That man basically became my, like, look standard. Especially with, like, me being so obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean and Jack Sparrow. Basically, Jack Sparrow is my type. I love the long hair, the little eyeliner, like, just, like, that.
It's attractive.
Yeah, like, the jewelry, just, like, that's just, like, an attractive
I fully
thing.
agree.
And so, like, that just kind of grew up as, like, this is my type. And so, like, all these, like, extra little accessories, long hair, and style that all these other K-pop artists are doing, like, I love it.
A lot of people see Jack Sparrow as this super masculine stereotype, being a pirate and being so manly. They don't even realize that a lot of these things are stereotypically feminine. Mm-hmm. So why are we hating?
Like, another good example of, like, y'all need to just get over it and get into K-pop is, like, Harry Styles.
Exactly.
Always wearing jewelry. Always. He literally had a photo shoot in a dress. Is on stage in crop tops with skirts and, like, all these things. And his fans, like, eat it up. I love Harry.
Harry Styles is the K-pop of America.
Yeah, like, I would say so. That makes sense. Like, just that kind of style. Like, that's what K-pop has been doing. That's what they continuously do and more. And this is where my ramble comes in, because this is where I get really annoyed on how much people hate on K-pop idols, specifically male idols, for the way that they look, dress, all the above. Because classic rock exists.
Literally,
yes. What in the world? So we have Aerosmith. We have these members on stage decked out in makeup, decked out in jewelry. You have photos of Steven Tyler in dresses, like, on a red carpet. Like, all of these very feminine things. And, like, but he's so cool. He's a rock star.
They've got long hair and it's cool.
Yeah, like, what? It literally makes no sense. They're doing the exact same thing, but there's just, like, this weird barrier that people, like, refuse to cross, because these are classic these are rock stars. They're, like, grown men. We love it. But then these, like, little K-pop boys, like, oh no, I don't want that in my life. It's the same thing. Maybe the genre of music is different.
Sometimes
literally they still do rock, but, like, the style wise, that shouldn't be holding anyone back from getting into it. It's the same thing. And I'm sorry, Kiss? Are you kidding me? These men are in platform heels, even non-platform. Like,
yes,
they're like 10-inch heels. What are we talking about? They got not just makeup, full face makeup. Don't come at me with its face paint. That's makeup, babe.
It is.
Like, I'm so annoyed.
They've got thigh cutouts.
Yes.
They have collarbones peeking out. It is literally
like straight blouses and just, like, extravagant. Like, what? Like, it frustrates me. And the love of my life of a classic rock band, Queen, they're doing the same thing, like, in blouses, like, dresses. They literally had I Want to Break Free music video of them all dressed as women, all in dresses, all in skirts, yet people are eating it up, which rightfully so.
Right, but they're hating on K-pop for it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, are you hating them, or are you just being racist?
And, like, just judgmental. Mm-hmm. It's so frustrating.
It is. It really
like,
is.
What is stopping you from even, like, looking in that direction? Like, you don't need to, like, love K-pop or get into K-pop, love their music, but, like, why are you being rude?
There's no reason to hate on it. It makes no sense to me. A very modern example of this classic rock idea is The Last Rock Stars, specifically Miyavi. Also, just shout out to him because I absolutely adore him. But that's literally exactly what we were talking about. They're that classic rock, bringing in all of the things we just talked about in the rock world, but they're Asian. It's the same thing. Nobody even questions it. But, like, you compare it to K-pop, it's the same thing. Okay, enough ranting for a second. Everyone is attracted to something different. Before we talk about our types and what we find most attractive, we need to talk about Jackson Wang and Kai.
They are the standard.
They are. Like, we will talk about them more in depth in future episodes because, wow. But if we're using our Thai hot scale, they are like a different branch of the scale in the attractiveness.
And we both consider them our types, but let's get more into depth in what we find attractive. And sometimes I have a hard time kind of, like, saying what my type is, because I want to say a certain type for, like, personality, but then I have such a stereotypical type look-wise, even though I find different looks attractive. So to get more into that, definitely look out for our Delusionally Dating Idols episode. That one's going to be a hot mess, but so much fun. So my, like, kind of classic answer for when people ask me what my type is, if you want to reference a K-pop idol, would be Hanse from Victon. Everything about him is, like, my type to a T. The way that he looks, the way that he acts, the way he accessorizes, wears some eyeliner, occasionally have his nail painted, sometimes has longer hair. All of that is very right with me.
Like you said, Johnny Depp earlier, that's definitely similar vibes, yeah. It's also very hard for me to define what my type is. was actually funny. We recently out of curiosity, went onto Pinterest and did a Pinterest board lineup between the two of us of like idols that are our type or that we're attracted to.
Mm-hmm. All of mine looked the same, basically.
And mine kind of had some similarities, but it was kind of broad. I find a large variety of people attractive. I'm abrosexual, so my preference can change a lot, even day to day, which is why I think I find Duality even more attractive. It's such a diverse spectrum. I get to see so many different attractive sides of the idols that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I agree.
We are going to end this episode with our song of the moment. This week it is going to be
Bouncy by ATEEZ.
I've been freaking out over this.
Mingi did not need to wear that mesh top.
No, he did not. They all looked so good this comeback. Not that this matters. This is about the song. The song.
Don't get distracted.
The choreo is amazing.
Song Mingi?
Song Mingi.
This is about the song. The
Song Mingi. Oh, so it totally makes sense. Actually, let's talk about it more. No, I'm just kidding. No, but really, Bouncy is so amazing. The choreo is so easy to follow and so fun. I do it everywhere. And it is so catchy. Absolutely ATEEZ. Go give it a listen and also check out the whole album that they just released. It is so good. As always, you can find us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter at The Luna Pod, or on Instagram at The Luna Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our episode releases and behind-the-scenes content. We post all sorts of things, so definitely make sure to follow us and check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye!
Bye.